brand that has bought WWE might be bad for the long-term product and might be bad for the fans. And I think we got a little bit of a taste of that this past week, Maddie, with the news dropping that WrestleMania has been pulled out of New Orleans and is looking to possibly go back to Vegas and might be possibly looking to go back to Vegas for, consecutive runs, basically for the money. We've already seen that house shows have been pulled. We've seen a number of kind of price gouging things that are happening with TKO, kind of pricing out the everyday fans. I know we've talked about this before, so I don't want to beat that one into the ground, but I worry that at some point that TKO could have maybe some overreach into the creative process and the way that things are played out for the everyday fan and that sort of thing. So for as much as I'm enjoying, this kind of Triple H era and that sort of thing, I worry about that relationship with TKO. And unfortunately, at this point, there's really no going back.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, like you said, with the WrestleMania topic, something that's every year different city looks forward to, and to pull that looks like more of a business move than it does, for the product of the wrestling. So to me, I'm kind of taken back by it. I'm not looking to go see, Shania Twain make a residency in Vegas. That's what this kind of,
yeah.
That's the vibe. They're saying it's like supposed to be like the Final Four of NCAA tournament, things like that, which wrestling's a little bigger thing than that. So to me, I don't think it needs a home. We don't have a WWE Hall of Fame. So why don't we just I think it's a terrible idea in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing. And we talked about the branding that was kind of going on and that we already saw at this past WrestleMania, just in terms of, there's fans now on the stage. There's all sorts of branding and advertising on the ribbon boards, physically on the stage. It's obviously all over the mat. The mat really doesn't bother me, but, the reads between entrances, the reads between matches, that sort of thing. It's very TKO, showing of the celebrities. That's fine. But even on Monday Night Raw, and I mean WWE has had this to an extent throughout its throughout the life of the product, right? But with Burt Kreischer, Tom Segura, I don't think they really honestly moved the needle the way that WWE thought they were going to, and I think that's kind of a little bit of a TKO thing, having those sorts of guys there. Dana White, same thing at WrestleMania 40. Don't think he really, or 41, whatever it was. I don't think he really moved the needle for that. So I don't know. I do see where TKO can add value in terms of presentation, but I'm starting to wonder, like, with the partnership with Fanatics and the way that meet and greets are ran and, accessibility to live events, I start to worry that that's going to be coming at more and more of a premium as time goes on.
Well, to me, it feels like you're outpricing the middle class.
Absolutely.
Because you're making it the ambiance, so much more of the business structure, etiquette of a TKO, that it's for the business expansion part of it. I get it. You're trying to make more money, and that's into the story.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for your old school wrestling fan or your guy that's been watching it lifelong, it's a little bit harder to digest.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I mean, WWE's always been a traveling show. So for, the push that had been kind of made for London and abroad over the last couple of years as like a WrestleMania host and a push to get that over there, they made a whole big thing with John Cena at Money in the Bank and trying to get WrestleMania specifically over there. That has to just be a giant blow to them as well, to have all of that, kind of put in front of them, and then kind of have the carpet, pulled out just to hear, well, it's probably going to be in Vegas. So I think for WWE being as global as it is, it's just kind of a shame if they're going to go that route. But do you want to?
But I was going to say that kind of maybe opens the door for somebody else to kind of hit these markets, not just TV wise, but live events, things like that. If there could be a way to kind of, whatever WWE's loss is, make it either AEW or somebody else's gain.
That's true.
maybe down the road, not quite yet, but maybe down the road we see somebody who kind of targets that hardcore wrestling fan and can kind of structure this to, be a benefit to them.
Right, because I think even AEW, who was it I was hearing talk to? I think AEW, their talent is maybe only on the road 2 to 3 days a week. And so, house shows aren't even quite a thing for them really as much as we were accustomed to with WWE.